we go. Everything is set up now. Good evening, everybody. I am Jax Devora, a fantasy author, and you have stumbled across Night Writes, my weekly night writing session. We have a second one that's Saturday morning, but that's neither here nor there. If this is your first time here, hello, drop a comment in the chat and say hello. Cryptic is already here. Hello, Cryptic. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you're probably on Blue Sky. Consider clicking that link. It'll take you right to our open chat. The open chat is super open. You can say basically whatever you want, so long as it's not creepy and so long as it doesn't violate YouTube TOS. I will read whatever you write out loud unless you tell me otherwise, and I will respond to them. That is how the social part of things work. Hello, Comic Man. You have joined us early. You have come to the first part, which is for the first 30 minutes of every stream, I always like to kind of stall, explain what's going on, so people can trickle in, and also so new people can get a sense of what's going on. So that's the social part of it. We also have an icebreaker for those of you who are shy, because I know writers can be shy. Today's icebreaker, it's usually a writing question, and today absolutely. And that icebreaker is pretty simple. Handwriting, keyboard, or both, as in what do you like to write with? I myself used to be a journaling nebulous blob. I would collect journals, I would fill them up with all my writing. It used to be a lot easier for me to do that. And it just felt a lot better, like in terms of tactile. There's something tactile about it that just felt so good and made you feel so accomplished to like fill up 6 pages in an hour or something like that, you know what I mean? But then I got Clara, which is my keyboard. It is an Alpha Smart from 2005. For those of you who have never been on my Blue Sky, you probably don't know what that is. But basically, it is a word processor, as in it is a one-function device, as they used to be back in the Stone Age. And all it is a keyboard and a little screen that displays maybe 4 lines of text at once. And in that kind of like, you know, the old 2000s blocky tech font, if you know what I'm talking about. So ultimately, the point is, I found out that though I liked how it was the distraction-free aspect of it that I liked so much about journals. Actually writing, sure, I liked the tactile sensation of it, but after a while, it's sort of like your hand hurts. It's really difficult to like keep on pushing. You start doing illegible stuff. So I still handwrite, especially whenever I'm planning, or if it's just easier to take a journal. But for the most part, I like doing things on Clara now, my Alpha Smart. And it's super easy. She hooks right up to my computer, and my computer reads her A-OK. Incidentally, this all is an ad by Alpha Smart. They are not sponsoring me. They have been out of business for, I think, since 2010. But I highly recommend it. You can get them refurbished on eBay for like $80. That's how I got mine. But buyer beware. Make sure you do your research, and even then, just be careful. Clara's seller, there was a saga involving having to change Clara's batteries, and it's really cool because she can take AA's, and those are still like you can get a good pack of them for $10, and she only needs like a couple at a time, and she's good for literally 4 months of that. But the problem is that whoever refurbished her really fucked up putting in the screw that held the battery's plate in place. So I couldn't get her open until I gave her to my tech friend, and he basically put shit tons of chemicals on that little screw well. So it wasn't even Loctite or anything like that. It's just like the person just jammed it in and screwed it down so tight and off track that it was impossible to open without considerable amounts of force and lubricants. But the point is, if you go on eBay, just be aware, it's at least better than a $500 free rate, because those look very slick. They're $500 a piece no matter which one you get or even which company. I don't know why distraction-free tools are like that. So the benefit is you're paying a fraction of the cost, and you get a really good machine that will last you, that has like Nokia standards of durability. The downside is you could be getting something kind of janky from some shady ass dealer who then proceeds to turn around and sell surgical tools less than a couple months later. Which was weird. But yeah, that is the story of Clara. That is why I prefer Clara. And she still hooks up to my computer and it reads A-OK. I wholeheartedly recommend her. But yeah, absolutely. And the problem is, like, if I sit down at a computer and write, it takes me forever to actually write because I get so distracted. So that is why I need like all the other distraction-free tools. Basically, the only time that I'm not distracted is during one of these writing sessions. And even then, there have definitely been moments where I'm like, oops, guys, I spent 5 minutes like scrolling through the DuckDuckGo looking at research, quote unquote. But anyway, let me go through the rest of the spiel and then we'll turn back to the chat. See, this is what I mean by I get so distracted. I just distracted my way through like 10 minutes of the chat and I never even explained the rest of the thing. Anyway, at 9 p.m. Eastern Time exactly, we will begin the first of 3 writing sprints. Sometimes it's 4 if I feel up for it, but for the most part it's 3. And what's a word sprint? I called it a writing sprint. It's a word sprint, and I will explain why in a moment. But traditionally, a word sprint is when you sit down and you do a bunch of writing in a certain amount of time. How long? That can be up to whoever's hosting. Ours are 20 minutes, and I forgot to put up the timers. I'm just all over the place today. I'm so sorry, guys. There you go. So, in the top left-hand corner of your screen, you will see a bunch of timers. Our sprints are 20 minutes apiece, followed by 15-minute breaks. During those times, I am going to be playing it fast and loose with the term word. So what I mean is, you can write, you can edit, you can read, you can plan, or you can do something completely unrelated to writing. You can do art, you can do laundry, you can eat, you can even take a nap, which I've had somebody do. Whatever you want to do during those 20 minutes, so long as they enrich your life in some way, that is my only rule. At the end of those 20 minutes, we will stop, talk about our progress, and then I will send you off to do whatever as long as it's taking a rest. And during that time, I will be rambling about whatever. Sometimes I will respond to chat and that will be it. And sometimes I will go off and talk about things like airports, like we did the last time around. That is basically it. We will run for 3 word sprints, sandwiching 15-minute breaks apiece. And then at the very end, we will wrap things up. I will say fare thee well and explain when the next one will be. I will tell you right now, it's going to be Saturday because, oh man, the rest of this week is going to be busy. Basically, tomorrow's D&D night, and then Friday I am actually going to be zipping off to do errands because it's the first good day in ages. Well, actually, first good day in ages because this weekend wasn't that great, was it? Um, Incidentally, yes, I did do the adulting thing. I basically renewed my license, but Jesus Christ, I don't know if everybody in chat right now knows where I live, but it's New York City, and if you've heard of what went down in New York City in terms of weather lately, it was wild. We had tornadoes in the west, we had thunderstorms, we had the smoke from the forest fire and the thunderstorms. It was wild. Then yesterday, I think yesterday was the last day of thunderstorms. It was basically threatening it every single day for God knows how long. For most of this month, actually. I'm a little bit salty because I have a bike that I always take out every year, and I have not yet done it. And I'm looking at it being like, your tires are flat again. I need to take care of that and also ride you at least once this year. I brought it with me from whenever I moved out of my ex's place in Queens. That bike was supposed to be my primary mode of transportation, and it basically sits there most of the day. Anyway, to the chat. Cryptic says, welcome back, Comic Man. I agree. Cryptic says, as for the icebreaker, I know Jax already knows but handwriting, very much so. Absolutely, I can't really blame you, because handwriting is so excellent. Like, I went on about it, but it really is, like, I know that I said, hey, yeah, my hands are getting weird, and also my handwriting gets illegible the longer I go, but, like, again, there's just something so satisfying about the tactile sensation of actually physically writing and filling up an entire book with just your handwriting and being able to see it physically in front of you. It's just beautiful. I love it. So 100%. And also, talk about the ultimate distraction-free writing device. So absolutely. Comic Man says, nice, I haven't been this early yet. High five. And also, for me, it's 100% keyboard. Totally understandable there too, because like I said, as much as I love writing, I just get more work done faster whenever I'm in front of a keyboard. However, not in front of a computer. I guess it's like the neurodivergence rearing its fun head, but like I sit in front of the computer and it's like an hour later and I've only done like 100, 200 words. Let's see. Cryptic says, oh, that's Screw. I remember that. Yeah, it was fun. But yeah, basically, my friend, TJ, who I don't think I've mentioned all that often in Blue Sky or Unstream, he has an account, he just never uses it. But anyway, he basically helped me out. He's a lifesaver in many aspects of my life, to be honest with you. Like, he has done me so many favors, and I try to give back, but yeah, I let him have Clara, and he's like, I'm gonna pop this out within an hour, and I was like, okay, cool. If you don't, I still have Plan A, which is to take her to one of the many retro tech stores in the area, because this is fucking New York City. I'm sure that somebody's got something. We still sell VCRs if you know where to look. But anyway, Cryptic says, I didn't hear about the tornadoes, but even I got some of the smoke here so bad I had to spend one day completely downstairs. Yeah, it was so funky. Like, there was that one day whenever the sky was literally orange, so that was fun. But yeah, I am just glad that we're kind of past that, hopefully. Hopefully the Canadians are okay. Because, like, damn, if it was that bad down here, imagine what it must be like up in the epicenter. I haven't actually looked myself. It's just like so much is going on already on our side of the border. It's like, super sorry guys. But yeah, we had tornadoes here. Luckily not anywhere near where I lived. It's more like the metro area got tornadoes. I know for certain that central New Jersey had tornadoes, which is close enough. Um, I've heard stories that some parts, like the more inland parts of northern New Jersey, did too. Either way, there were tornado warnings all over the Hudson area, and it was great. Uh, just absolute fantastic. It's yeah. Comic Man says, dude, I'm in the Great Lakes region and the wildfire smoke killed us, lol. We've been getting those storms as well. Yeah, it's like this summer in general has been wild. I know that last summer and the summer before that were also wild. Like I remember a couple years ago when we had another wildfire smoke screen throughout New York, and it was even worse back then. But like I don't know, something about this summer with its high temperatures and its thunderstorms every other day. I don't know. I just feel like yeah, last year was a lot more mild, but maybe it's just me. Anyway, we just had a cold front come through and we have the first chilly morning in months. That is both excellent and also a little bit scary because it means that we're still in July. So it means that the climate or the weather is kind of going a little bit haywire, isn't it? So hopefully it continues to like ease back into like some sort of a equilibrium for you guys. But man, on the other hand, I do prefer chilly to 100-degree weather. So Cryptic says, yeah, one of my friends is in Canada and she's been keeping me and the rest of our group updated on how she's doing. That is good. I hope she is doing a-okay and staying safe. Comic Man says, me and some friends went to an amusement park the day the smoke actually hit and we couldn't see a mile ahead of us. That is terrifying. And also, I can only imagine what that physically felt like. Like, my throat is feeling scratchy just thinking about being out there in the smoke. Either that or I've been talking for 20 minutes straight, so of course it would. But in any case, yeah, I hope everybody stays safe and that the weather kind of calms down in August a little bit, because I would like to be able to go out and I'd like to be able to enjoy some part of the summer without either melting into the pavement or getting struck by lightning. That would be nice. Not doing either of those. Cryptic says, yeah, I thought it was a fog at first when I woke up that day. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, no. Like a fog. Yeah, I mean, I like foggy days. I like, you usually can tell if it's fog because, it's like chill and you kind of feel it clinging to your skin, whereas smoke is sort of like it's warmer and it clings to your fucking throat. Or maybe it's just me. But anyway. Comic Man says, I was seeing reels from northern Michigan talking about the smoke, and when I woke up to see it, I knew exactly what it was. That is terrifying, I swear to God. Also, side point, what is it? I see like Steam out of the corner of my eye because what you're seeing on screen is a Steam game, and it's like something's for like $1,000. What is this? Oh, it's a Steam machine. I can't blame them. That is a nice looking machine, but yeah. It's because of the damn AIs, guys. Like, if graphic cards weren't balls cheap, or sorry, balls expensive, like firstborn expensive, then we would be able to get that nice little machine. But nope. The Steam machine, yeah, it's their console. They have a new console out. It is a literal cube. It is very sleek. It plays like a Steam Deck, only for, you know, the console users. Oh, that was not a guess. Okay. Comic Man says, that day I rode the second tallest coaster in the world and you could barely see the ground from it. Okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, a coaster in like the fog would be kind of epic, not gonna lie, because it adds to the thrill, right? Like, you don't know, you know that you're not gonna hit the ground, but you also kind of instinctually can't tell. That sounds like it would be fun, not gonna lie. But I still wouldn't do it in the middle of actual smoke. Cryptic says it is, they've basically outright said it. Other than the smoke part, that sounds cool, Comic Man. GameCube. I was hoping to get it before that price came out. GameCube. Oh my god. Now I read. That was not a typo. GameCube. That is amazing. But yeah. Like I said, it's the fucking AIs. It's they drove up the prices of all the graphic cards, and now all the nice things are expensive. It's like, actually, yeah, that is a good way of saying it. All of the nice things are expensive, and I don't just mean like tech stuff. I also mean like water and food. But Comic Man says the park is on Lake Erie, so I can imagine how the fog could be in the mornings. Oh, I think I know which. Would you happen to be talking about Cedar Point? I was I grew up in Pittsburgh, so it's sort of like your choices for amusement parks were, if you wanted to stay local, was Kennywood, but if you wanted to get real fancy, you went to Cedar Point. So if it is, damn, just thinking about the coasters there. That, On the one hand, like I said, I would not do that in the smoke. On the other hand, I know which coasters you might be talking about, and that would be so much fun. Cryptic says, I stole that joke from the internet. High five. God bless the internet. And Comic Man says, I need Moram. Yeah. Cryptic says, on a more positive note, I signed up for my library's adult reading program, so I've started reading again, and I'm enjoying it. Hell yeah. I wholeheartedly support joining reading groups. There's actually one in the city, but it's always on a weekday. I'm like, no matter where in the city you are, it's going to be an hour trek to get to that, to an event like that. So I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to do that? Like, trek out at immediately after work to get to like a park at 6:30 or a bar at 6:30 and hang out with book nerds. But so I am delighted that you have found a group, Cryptic. Definitely enjoy it. Also, ooh, Cedar Point, nice. Seconding that, it's so good. I do miss it. Comic Man says there was this nerdy roller coaster convention one year, and it was 4 days at Cedar Point and 2 at Kennywood, so I had the whole Pittsburgh experience. Heck yeah. And shoot, I gotta go for a second. No problem. We'll be around for the next couple of hours, so hope to see you back soon. But that sounds so good. Like, nerding out over coasters with a bunch of other people at the 2 best parks in America. I do not care what anybody else says. You can take your Disney Worlds and your Universal Studios. Those 2 parks, if you actually like having fun and not walking around taking pictures, go to those 2 parks. You will not regret it. It's amazing. Cryptic says, I picked up a collection of some of Chekhov's works on a whim last time, and let me see if I can read. I picked up a collection of some of Chekhov's works on a whim last time I was there, and I'm enjoying it so far. Ooh, excellent choice. Like, it's been a while since I've read Chekhov, but in all seriousness, he is really good. There's a reason why he's classic. Cryptic says, it's more casual than that. It's the summer one where you get prizes based on the minutes you spend reading. That is delightful. Sort of like the old Book On campaign that Pizza Hut held in, like, the 90s. Like, if so... if so, we should just, like, globally bring that back. Just, like, I want pizza for every book that I read. Dude, maybe I should just do that myself. I'm an adult. I have adult money. I read a book, and I get a pizza for it. That sounds like an excellent plan. Cryptic says, let's see if I can read. Me trying to read the Russian names. Cryptic says, yeah, I got a new pen when I hit 5 hours. Hell yeah, new pen. I mean, on the other hand, there is something just satisfying about somebody else handing you prizes for things that you did. It's kind of like you're in elementary school and everything just is better in a certain way. Like, books are so much better when you buy them at the Scholastic Book Fair. Just fight me on that one. But also, books, things are better whenever you're paid in pizza and sparkly stickers by another adult. Cryptic says, yeah, and it's a mystery prize where you scratch off a ticket and get surprised by what you get. Oh my god, that sounds like so much fun. Man, why can't my local library be that cool? They basically just, they don't really offer anything for the adults. Like, unfortunately, I will confess that I do not live inside New York City. Otherwise, I will never shit on any of the New York borough libraries. Like, all of them are excellent. Although I don't know if Staten Island even has one. We're not sure about the literacy in Staten Island. Anyway. But, like, the Brooklyn Public Library especially is fucking fantastic. Go and get yourself a membership over there if you're in the New York area. The Queens Public Library is kind of, like, less so. And, of course, who can argue with it? And the main branch of the New York Public Library has always got something cool going on. Not necessarily library related, but anyway. Anyways, 9 p.m. There's also tickets you earn that you can put in for different raffles they're running. That's fucking amazing. Anyway, 9 p.m. So we're going to start the first of our multiple sprints. I am going to spend part of the first sprint doing things on Discord, but I promise I will be right there with you in just a moment. But back straight in the chair. You want to have good posture. Shake out your wrists. Wiggle your fingers and crack your knuckles. Make sure that your phalanges are all warmed up for your wordathon. Deep breath in. Let it out slowly. One more time. And back out. 20 minutes are on the clock. Get ready. Get set. And here we go. Welcome back, Comic Man. We dove into the first sprint, so feel free to jump right on in. that is the first sprint. How did we do? I did 339 words, which honestly, to be honest, I was not expecting to be that good because I was definitely distracted for the first part of this. Let me just finish this one sentence and record it in TrackBear because you know I don't like to stop in the middle of writing a sentence for a 50-minute break. But anyway. Okay, there we go. That is 373 words after that little bit. Let me just record that. 373. There we go. That means 614 words so far today because I did a teeny bit of writing / finagling with stuff earlier today, but I will get into that in just a second. First though, Comic Man says, alright, I'm back. Welcome back, by the way. Feel free to tell us how you've been doing. Let's see, Cryptic says, got 2 pages down and I feel like I'm finally reaching the natural conclusion of the set of scenes I started last week. Heck yeah. AKA Erebus finally showed up, lol. Heck yeah. Absolutely here for all of this. So, excellent job so far. Comic Man says, I did 95 words, which is kind of surprising since I was gone for a bit and I was really out of sync. Totally understandable. Hopefully you'll get that rhythm back in the next sprint. But I also sort of chuckled at the line, well, can you make it fast? Redhead over here looks like he's gonna puke. Amazing. It sounds like somebody's having a great day in yours. Is this still the, are you still on the chapter with the military guy, or is this one of the other two, out of curiosity? Because if it's still a military guy, absolutely fantastic. Hope those recruits are doing well. They are probably not, but anyway. And TrackBear said, I love TrackBear because not only can you see how much progress that you're making, and not only are you staying on task with your project, but also like it gives you stats and it breaks down what your goals look like and it compares them to different things. So, for example, earlier in the challenge, it might have told me during this time you can walk this many kilometers. Or during this time you can have this many sleeps. Today's so you'll hit your goal after 10 days, which works out to 0.69 fortnights, which excellent. I definitely do like my time measured in fortnight, but that's also not great. That means that I will not make my goal by the 31st. I mean, obviously we're only partway through day 22. So once I nudge that up, I'm sure that I'll be able to get through to a reasonable pace. But I definitely need to spend part of this weekend sitting down and writing like minimum 2,000 words. Just to like push myself ahead because this week has just been so tiring. Comic Man says, yes, he basically challenged himself by trying to turn around a group of disrespectful castaways. I respect that, but dang, are they in for it? How many of them end up surviving the entire Yellowstone thing? I mean, I'm asking for spoilers right out the gate, so you don't necessarily have to tell me. But I feel like it's going to be so much fun to read about this guy and read about the recruits and watch them struggle. And then things happen. And then you get the fun of the pure disaster movie levels. Like, 90s disaster movie levels of fun wherein you get to watch and see which one of the characters that you met as if in the first 10 minutes of the movie are going to die fantastically creative deaths. Comic Man says, TBH IDK since he breaks away just before the eruption. Ah! I'm not giving any suggestions either way because either outcome could be, any of those outcomes could be hilarious. Like, if nobody survives, if they all survive and they're just sort of like chilling out as he comes out covered in soot from hell, or if just like a smattering of them survive, but they definitely obviously went through hell themselves. Any one of those could be so much fun to read. But anyway. Right, progress this week. Progress this week has been kind of slow. I know that I've mentioned that I was gearing up for the final battle, and honestly, I don't know why I keep on doing this to myself. I always have, like, large-scale battles, and although I'm fine whenever it's one-on-one, like, if I can have two characters going at it very prettily and with opportunities for banter and shenanigans, it's a lot easier to manage. But when it gets to be like large groups, I just kind of want to gloss over it because it's like, to me, it's just ball of action versus ball of action, and you clash them together. But earlier today, I did have more epiphanies, and I know how to make the book longer in Draft 2. Downside is it's going to involve a lot of rewrites. I am up to I'm up to rewriting half the book in order to reroute plot points. But honestly, the entire point of this draft was to fast draft it and look at the skeleton structure of it, and be like, alright, so this is where I generally want to go, but it's not exactly what I want to have happen. So now that I have a general idea, I can go back and I can be like, alright, I'm taking out this entire half, we're going to replace it with this, and I'm going to add more chapters of this nature over here, and it's going to be a lot longer, it's going to take a couple more months, I think, but we will be on track. It's going to be a little bit awkward to talk about this whenever the month is over, because I was like, I'm going to have the entire book written in a month, and then I'm going to go back and edit it, and it's going to be a book eventually, probably faster than TNS. And now that I'm thinking about it, this is going to have a rewrite itself, a la TNS and its myriad drafts. But number one, fuck it, I'm not even going to bother with TradPub, so why not? Kind of, sort of. I mean, I might toss this into the trenches just for funsies while I continue work on TNS, just to have something going on, and so I can buy myself time for trying to figure out how self-pub works, and also just because, you know, I kind of want to just do it once and see what happens. But I know that self-publishing is kind of like the self-publishing world hates the TradPub world. There are a lot of people who are like, I can't really justify TradPub anymore, and I don't understand why anyone would subject themselves to that, and I can't really, like, I can't justify its existence, and it sounds so exploitive, etc., etc. But, like, both sides have their ups and downs, in my opinion, and I kind of want to experience both sides at some point in my life. So, of course I need to finish it either way, or finish a book either way and see what happens, but, you know, Um, let's see. Back to the chat. IDK Comic Man says, IDK if I want him to find some of his soldiers towards the end and relieves them of duty in a heartwarming moment where he has changed or something. Actually, that sounds really nice too, come to think of it. So, honestly, I would kind of encourage it. It would also be a really great way of being like, hey, here's how much he's grown and changed. Like, you have him at the start being like, maybe he's a little bit harder than the other two main characters. And, you know, I'm not sure what his character's like 100%, but every character undergoes some kind of change, right? So, like, maybe like reading the people that he met or that he was around at the beginning of his journey is a fantastic way of showing that growth off for sure. Comic Man says, ooh, battles are fun. I will say that describing magic is a lot of fun, and describing violence is also a lot of fun, but I much prefer doing it in one-on-one duels instead of like huge ass engagements. Just because it's like I said, it's a lot more to keep track of. So, would not recommend, but I envy you if you can do it. Comic Man says, I wrote a fantasy battle once, and it was pretty fun because I got to come up with the sides. Heck yeah. Also, like, with fantasy battles, it's like anything goes. Like, it also shows off your creativity and the way that you can describe things, too, because, like, so one of the other projects that I'm working on is a more high fantasy thing. Essentially, we don't have enough time to talk about what it's about, but a guy turns into a dragon and he has to fight the chosen ones of the gods who are all capable of turning into magical animals and creatures themselves. And his main rival has the ability to turn into a unicorn. So you have dragon versus really powerful mage who can wield light magic, who can also turn into a unicorn. So sometimes it's like dragon versus unicorn, and there's like so much that goes on in that. Like there's shield spells. There were shield spells flying around. There were beam spells. There was fire. There was magical song. One of the betas in a previous draft had mentioned that the final battle was basically a beam battle and not much more, and I kind of took that to heart. So this time around, I've been trying my hardest to incorporate more into the fight. Like, for example, whenever the villain is in his unicorn form, yes, he's capable of shooting off beams of magical light, but he's also capable of just smacking the shit out of the main character with his hooves. And it's fun because now you're like coming up with impossible ways to fight each other, and yes. Cryptic says dragon versus unicorn alone is so cool, right? It was definitely friendship was not magic in that one. Comic Man says fire is surprisingly fun to write about. Also agreed. The main character of that one was not born knowing fire magic. He's actually from an Earth Mage family. Again, not enough time to explain this. But because he's so new to fire magic, I get to play with it so much because, like, it's the heat inside him, and it's also, he doesn't know how to control its destructive properties, so, like, there's distraction involved, and then it's just the way that it plays, like, just, such a good idea to give him fire magic. Also, terrible idea because he doesn't know how to use it. Things get set on fire a lot in that story. Anyway, someday I'll actually get to the point where I publish this so you can actually read this shit. But anyway, Cryptic says that horn seems like it would hurt too. It does, as Mick finds out. So anyway, uh, we have just started the next sprint, by the way, so 20 more minutes are on the clock. I will read out the last bit of chat and then dive back in. Comic Man says just ramming it, stabbing the dragon, and injecting magic straight into the interior of it would probably be some crazy finisher. That, too. Comic Man says IDKY, that was the first thing I thought of when Cryptic mentioned Horn, because it's such an awesome concept. Anyway, I'm going to try not stealing that one, but absolutely applaud that thought. Anyway, I'm going to dive back into the second sprint. Good luck, everybody. That is one more sprint. How did we do? 454, which again, not bad, but let me finish this one more time. Okay, and that is 468 so far, so let me record that. Okay, we are over 1,000 words for today. Not bad. We are still going to gun for more. I'm hoping to. Okay, so the pace that I need in order to hit my goal, according to TrackBear, is 1592. We are going to hit 1592. So we will go for another sprint, maybe 2 more. We'll see how we do. But in the meantime, Cryptic says, I am so close to done with this section. I am wishing you the best of luck. Hopefully the next sprint will take care of that. If not, hey, we'll see how I feel at the other end of this sprint. Hopefully, you know, we'll get that 4th sprint in. It depends on where I am with this chapter. So basically, just to give you an idea, Honeysuckle had just infiltrated the big bad's lair, and she and one of the adventurers she hired were basically fighting their way into it, and now she's parted with the person who was escorting her because one of the people that they had taken down essentially called in reinforcements, so now there are like people flooding into the foyer where they last were. And now Honeysuckle has drifted in and knows that her queen is somewhere inside, but she has just encountered the big bad. And honestly, I don't know what's going to happen after this. I'm just kind of winging it at this point. I haven't even decided if there's going to be a final battle between them or what she's going to do. But it should be kind of interesting to... or in other words, I don't know if this is going to be the last chapter before like we start wrapping things up, or if there's going to be another chapter where there's the actual confrontation. I am actually going to keep on going. There's a conversation that's going to go into the next sprint. Let's see. This chapter is currently at 948 words, and the average length of chapter for this book has been about 1,000 to 2,000 words. Definitely, like, it's more like 1,500 to 2,000 words, maybe 3,000 if I'm going a little bit lengthy. So I kind of feel comfortable with breaking or just like wrapping up this chapter sometime soon, like within the next sprint or 2, and then saving chapter 17 for tomorrow. The more that I'm thinking about, the more it would make sense that there's an actual final battle and conflict wherein the Aces High, which is the group of gunslingers that Honeysuckle hired, finally are coming back together. I just realized something interesting. But we'll see. It will definitely be interesting. But in any case, we'll figure it out. For one thing is for certain. I think I know where I want this chapter to go and how it should end. But until then. Anyway. Cryptic says, I'm going to have to go give the cats their dinner in a couple minutes. Oop. Let me just shut this down because it is... Wednesday is usually our garbage day, and I am seeing, like, the sanitation workers outside. They're usually pretty loud. Anyway, like, God bless, but yeah. Let's see. Totally cool, Cryptic. Go feed those kitties. Hopefully you'll be back for some part of the last sprint. Whether it's this one or the next one, we'll see where this chapter goes. But you know me, like, I like to wrap up chapters in sprints and then be like, well, I'm not going to start a new one just yet. So, yeah, that's why it's all up in the air. Ramble. Anyway, Comic Man says, ooh, 217 words. I'm getting into groove. Excellent. He also says, it's really helping my workflow, skipping a section of the chapter where I know what will happen, but I don't know how I will write it, so I just got into the section I know will work. Absolutely, that is what the brackets are for. But for certain, like, I feel the same way because I just did the same thing where it's sort of like I was starting to describe something. I was like, this is a really bad time to start describing it. Anyway, here's what the room looks like. Go figure out where to put it later. And it's like you leave stuff for as problems for future you, but at the same time, you're also not disrupting your flow. And you can move past that and actually get the words you can grasp down. And it felt like getting past that kind of weird description and into the bit that I could just felt so much better and so much more amazing. So 100%, I fully support that. Man, I gotta say, this is unusual for Night Rights. Usually we're not that into writing discussion during the breaks. Usually I get off on a tangent about one thing or another, and we deviate from writing, but it's like there's writing advice here, there's writing progress, there's all kinds of other stuff. But I just feel like chatting about writing. And it's kind of also funny because essentially what I'm working on right now is a break from the dragon book that I was describing earlier, because essentially I'm on draft 7 of the dragon book, and it had to be rewritten because it just kept on getting ripped apart by betas, which you think would be a sign. But I refuse to let go of this idea. Like, people liked the idea, but they were like, well, it's going on for too long here. It's, you know, this feels very weak, and this entire thing needs to be reworked, that kind of, and so on and so forth. I was like, well, I guess I just need to rewrite it. Like, for example, last time around, I had given the book to a very thorough beta, and the beta was like, well, it's taking forever to get to the inciting incident, because he basically said that the inciting incident was the point where the guy turns into the dragon, which makes sense, absolutely. But the problem is that happens like a third of the way into the book. Before you get to that point, you have like a lot of exposition where that explains who this guy is, what their world is, and so on and so forth, because it's the first book that I've ever written in this world. So I started rewriting it with the intention of cutting down the first half of that book in order to, you know, get to the inciting incident faster, because I was trying to take this guy's advice to heart. But the problem is I was only able to cut down 5,000 words, so it went from like 30,000 words until he got to the part where until we got to the part where the guy transforms into a dragon, down to like 25,000. And even then, like, I was like, okay, I don't want to do so many chapters. It was, the transformation happened in chapter 7. I'm going to try to avoid having as many chapters. So it's in chapter 5, but chapter 5 is as long, like, chapter 4 is as long as 2 chapters. So, like, my current beta reader is like, why don't you cut this in half and try to, like, make this easier? And it's like, she has a point, absolutely, and I will absolutely do that, because it does feel like it needs to be, it's too long. But it's like, it's those little things where I'm trying to do so much to change this book that I had to rewrite it. But it's the not 7th, but I think it's the 4th time I've rewritten the book entirely. And it's like, after so many times, you start to feel burned out with it, and you start to feel like it's never going to come together in the way that you were hoping for, or that it's just a dud. So I was starting to get those feelings, which are super negative, absolutely, and not something that you want to feel as an author. So I decided instead to work on a different book. And every step of the way this month, I've been like, yeah, this is absolute shit, but it exists. And it's like so weird, because on the one hand, it doesn't sound like I'm having fun, enjoying writing, and in some ways it's difficult to because of real life. Like I'm very lucky to get 1,000 words a day, just because there's so much going on, and I didn't realize how much was going on. But yeah, basically I'm burned out all the time. But basically, I'm starting to realize, it's not the book's fault that it's taking so long, and honestly, I feel a little bit excited to come up with these new ideas and strategies. I just worry that it's going to be like I accidentally abandoned the other idea. I swear that I will get back to the dragon book eventually. But I also swore that I'd get back to Always the Bridesmaid. On the other hand, this is set in the same universe, and I'm still very much writing about the other characters. I'm not tired of Mick and Eleanor and their story. Like, I'm not tired of the dragons and the world building or anything like that, because I'm still writing stories in that universe. It's just that I needed a breather, and in order to take a break, step away from it, so that I can look at it in a new light and appreciate it a little bit more and say, hey, I do like this part. So, but for sure, Beastslingers is that kind of book where I definitely need to rewrite it, because a lot of it is very weak, and I recognize that right off the bat. But and at the same time, there's a lot that I do like, and I do have that will to do it. I have this separate document in my ellipsis that's for general edit notes, and I'm like, yes, if I do this, it would be so much better, and this makes more sense. This is going to be such a far stronger story after all of this. So, I'm hoping that having this to juggle and take breaks from TNS will help a little bit, in other words. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to juggle both works in progress. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing Bohemia so soon in November on that note. But I would at least like to have multiple projects to see if I can... once I start feeling the burnout with one, I'm going to switch to the other and see what happens. We'll see. Hopefully that'll work. Cryptic says, back from feeding the cats. Welcome back. Hopefully the chats are well fed and happy. Comic Man says, when I originally started with this book, I initially started off with the business guy telling his life story, but I didn't want to have that first chapter be exposition either. I changed his chapter to have him going through emails on his dock at like 4:30 a.m. and he gets roped into a Yellowstone research group he joined years ago, which I feel moves it along better. See, like, sometimes you just need to rewrite. I definitely feel like the beginning of the Dragon book feels a lot better. It's just, a 4-3, right? But regarding that, I absolutely agree that that does sound like a better idea. Like, instead of doing an exposition of who this character is, you're having him go through basically an average day. So there's more action in it. You're kind of like following him instead of being told who he is. So yeah, absolutely. That does sound like a stronger beginning. Cryptic says Toast is grumpy because we had to brush out some shed fur that got matted on his back, but he'll be fine. Aw, poor little dude. Comic Man says, it also lets me tell the story of the world in these introductory chapters by showing how each character interacts with people in the world. Exactly. So, all in all, I do like the description of this direction that you chose. And I'm wishing you the best of luck with the artist, because I feel like that's the one that you haven't touched upon yet. But anyway, the third sprint, again, we're not sure if it's going to be the last one today. 20 minutes are on the clock. I will shut up now. was the third sprint. How did we do? Let's see. Where had I stopped? This will be just 1 second. I think I started here, maybe? 477 words, which again, not bad. Let's see where we line up with that. Let's see, 559 words. You know what? We'll go for one more sprint, just to carry myself across the daily count and kind of like bump us up for tomorrow as well. Let's see, Cryptic says, I finished off what I was working on within the first 5 minutes and just kind of chilled the rest of my time because my hand hurts. Totally understandable. So I will say, yeah, I'm going to go for one more sprint just to, like I said, just to push myself up a little bit more. And just because I kind of need it. And also it's 10:30, so like, technically this is ahead of the game for me. Cryptic says, my first thought was, yes, next time I can write the other thing I've been wanting to for a while. And then my second thought was bed. Totally understandable if you need to take rest. In fact, if everybody, like, I mean, I'm still probably going to do another sprint on my own, but if people are getting a little bit tired, I can definitely call it here. It's up to you all. I will leave that up to chat, essentially. But in the meantime, just for Cryptic's sake, I'm going to read off the calendar. Where is the calendar app? Here we go. So, like I said, tomorrow's D&D night. The day after is Jax runs off to the pharmacy to get meds. That is more than you needed to know. But you know what? We're all on some kind of meds here. Cryptic says, see you next time, Jax. See you as well. But the next writing session will be this Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as usual. That's going to be our usual. It will probably be, I don't know how long. My friend is supposed to be coming in later on that day. Who knows? But after that, the next night writes will be the 29th. That will be July, the usual Wednesday. I'm not sure if there's going to be any other night writes or tea writes sessions. There might be a tea writes on the 26th, just because it is the last weekend of the month, so I want to get in as many words as possible. And also I have really no plans beyond what friend is doing. As always, follow me on jaxdevora.bsky.social for any future announcements about streams and whatnot. But that having been said, Monday and Tuesday we will probably not be doing any other streams, unfortunately, because, you know, it's Monday and Tuesday. I'm usually like working pedal to the metal with work. Shenanigans have been happening in the evenings as well on those days, so who knows? We'll see. But that having been said, yeah, I know I said that we were going to go for a fourth sprint, but because we are kind of winding down a little bit, I think I'm going to call it. So again, I'll probably be trying to finish up the rest of the chapter afterwards, but I'm not going to bother y'all. That having been said, I will just start wrapping things up. Like I said, next writing session will be this coming Saturday, 8:30 a.m. for tea writes. The next night writes will be as usual at on next Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Follow my Blue Sky for any further updates. I don't actually use the community tab. You can hit that bell and potentially catch one of the streams at the beginning. If they do happen, if there are any surprise streams, check on either 8:30 a.m. or 8:30 p.m. or just, you know, follow me on Blue Sky to get all the updates. That having been said, thank you for dropping by. Thanks to both Comic Man and Cryptic, and if you are a lurker, thank you as well. As always, stay hydrated. I hope the rest of your week goes well. Take care of yourself. Stay cool this summer. Know that you're loved. And hopefully I'll see you this coming Saturday. I know this is a very quick wrap up, but I really do appreciate all of you coming. Thank you again, and I will see you later. Good night, everybody.